the most powerful powder in human history. In the dark jungles of the Andes, long before the modern world existed, a simple green leaf shaped the destiny of empires. A leaf that would one day spark global wars, fuel billion-dollar fortunes, build criminal kingdoms, and break entire nations. This is the untold history of cocaine, a story that stretches across 3,000 years, from sacred rituals to cartel empires, from colonial exploitation to Wall Street nightclubs, from ancient ceremonies to international money laundering networks. To understand cocaine is to understand power, political power, economic power, and the kind of power that turns ordinary men into legends and nightmares. This is the full history, and nothing has shaped the modern underworld more than this one substance. The sacred leaf, 3,000 years ago, high in the thin air of the Andes Mountains, the Inca civilization considered the coca leaf a sacred gift from the gods. To survive the brutal altitude, warriors, farmers, and messengers chewed coca leaves mixed with alkaline ash. The effects were mild but powerful. Reduced fatigue, increased stamina, natural pain relief, elevated mood, spiritual clarity. To the Inca, coca wasn't a drug. It was a bridge between the physical world and the spiritual one. Priests chewed coca during ceremonies. Messengers ran incredible distances powered by it. Mothers used it to ease childbirth. And tribal leaders offered coca to the mountains, the ancient spirits. But everything changed when the Spanish arrived. The colonial economy of coca, 15th to 17th centuries. When Spanish conquistadors invaded South America, they initially dismissed coca as a heathen superstition. But that changed quickly. Spanish mine owners noticed something extraordinary. Indigenous miners could work twice as long when chewing coca. Suddenly, coca wasn't superstition. It was profit. Spain imposed heavy taxes on coca leaves, turning them into a colonial commodity. Mines in Potosi, one of the richest silver mines in human history, ran on forced labor powered by coca. Coca became a symbol of two worlds, a sacred leaf for indigenous people, a tool of economic exploitation for European powers. But for centuries, coca remained local, unknown to the world, until chemistry changed everything. The scientific discovery, 1800s. In 1859, a young German chemist named Albert Niemann isolated the active ingredient in the coca leaf. He called it cocaine. His lab notes described the sensation perfectly. It produces a feeling of numbness upon the tongue. That numbness became the foundation of cocaine's medical use. Within decades, Western medicine hailed cocaine as a miracle. Sigmund Freud promoted it as a treatment for depression, sexual dysfunction, and addiction. Surgeons used it as the world's first local anesthetic. Pharmaceutical companies raced to create cocaine tonics, tablets, and elixirs. And then came the most famous drink in history. Coca-Cola and the world falls in love, late 1800s. In 1886, pharmacist John Pemberton created a new tonic, Coca-Cola, made from coca leaf extract and cola nut caffeine. Yes, early Coca-Cola contained cocaine. The drink was marketed as a cure for headaches, a mood enhancer, a brain tonic, a drink that increased energy and focus. Meanwhile, in Europe, another cocaine product went viral, Vin Mariani, a coca-infused wine. It was praised by presidents, kings, and even popes. For elites in Paris, London, and New York, cocaine became a fashionable thrill. Powders, syrups, lozenges, cigarettes, pharmacies sold it in every form. Cocaine was not yet a crime. It was a luxury lifestyle. But the honeymoon did not last. The first crackdown, early 1900s. As cocaine spread, addiction cases exploded. By 1910, newspapers in the US published stories blaming cocaine for crime waves, violence, drug-crazed behavior. Most of these stories were exaggerated or racist, but they changed public opinion. The US passed the Harrison Narcotics Act of 1914, the first law restricting cocaine use. Other countries followed. Cocaine transformed from a glamorous stimulant to an illegal underground product. The stage was set for the rise of global smuggling networks. But nobody, absolutely nobody, predicted what would happen next. Cocaine goes quiet, 1920s to 1950s. For several decades, cocaine nearly disappeared from the global drug scene. Alcohol dominated the Prohibition era. Heroin overshadowed cocaine in illegal markets. World War II disrupted global supply chains. Cocaine was still produced in Peru and Bolivia, but in small quantities. It was a niche drug, used by jazz musicians, artists, and certain subcultures. No cartels, no empires, not yet. But the world was about to change. Fast. The cocaine boom of the 1970s. After the 1960s counterculture explosion, the world suddenly wanted cocaine again. It fit perfectly with the new cultural mood. Hollywood nightlife disco clubs, Wall Street parties, rock musicians, high-end celebrities. Cocaine was seen as clean compared to heroin. Stylish, exciting, a high-class drug demand surged, and supply rushed to meet it. But it wasn't Peru or Bolivia that took over. It was Colombia, and 3 men would change history forever. The rise of cartel empires, Medellin cartel, Pablo Escobar. He was born poor, but saw the drug trade as the fastest path to power. By the early 1980s, Escobar controlled 80% of the global cocaine market. His profits were unbelievable, $420 million per week, billions hidden in warehouses, so much cash that rats ate $2 billion a year. He built private zoos, secret airstrips, narco-submarines. His own army political influence nationwide. Escobar wasn't a criminal. He was a parallel government. Cali Cartel, unlike Escobar's violent approach, Cali Cartel ran cocaine like a corporation, bribed politicians, infiltrated banks, used advanced smuggling routes, built relationships with U.S. distributors. At their peak, they supplied 90% of cocaine in New York. Bolivia's cocaine coup, 1980. Bolivian traffickers funded a military dictatorship that protected the cocaine trade. This was the first time an entire government was directly supported by drug money. Cocaine was no longer a drug. It was a geopolitical force. The U.S. crack epidemic, 1980s to 1990s. As cocaine poured into the United States, traffickers discovered something new, a cheaper, smokable version with stronger effects, crack cocaine. It spread like wildfire in poor neighborhoods. Impact crime rates skyrocketed. Addiction destroyed families. Thousands were imprisoned. The U.S. government launched the war on drugs. Mandatory sentencing laws were extremely harsh. Crack changed the politics of America for decades. And the drug underworld became even more violent. The fall of Escobar and shift of power, 1993. When Escobar was killed in 1993, many believed the cocaine era was ending. They were wrong. Instead of one powerful cartel, the trade broke into hundreds of smaller networks. And then something major happened. Mexican cartels took control of trafficking routes. The Sinaloa cartel, Gulf cartel, and later Los Zetas became the most powerful criminal organizations in the world. Colombia still produced cocaine, but Mexico controlled the borders. The business evolved, grew richer, became more sophisticated. 2000s to 2025, the age of global cocaine. Today, cocaine production is higher than ever in history. Major producers Colombia, Peru, Bolivia major transit routes, Mexico, Caribbean, Brazil, West Africa, new route into Europe. Major consumer markets United States, Europe, Brazil, Australia, world's highest street price. South Africa street value. In Colombia, $1,500 to $2,000 per kilo US border, $20,000 to $32,000 per kilo Europe, $40,000 to $75,000 per kilo Australia, up to $250,000 per kilo. Cocaine remains one of the most profitable products humanity has ever created. Following the money. This is where your money mystery angle becomes powerful. Cocaine profits fuel offshore bank accounts, luxury real estate, corrupt politicians, private armies, human trafficking networks, money laundering through casinos, hotels, and shell companies, investments in legal businesses, construction, agriculture, shipping. The real cocaine empire isn't in the jungle. It's in the financial system. Dirty money enters banks, gets mixed with clean money, reappears as legitimate investments. Economists estimate the global cocaine economy at $100 to $150 billion per year. Entire countries rely on narco-capital. Entire corporations unknowingly clean it. Entire political systems are influenced by it. This is not a drug story. It's an economic story. Modern cocaine. More pure, more powerful. Compared to the 1980s, modern cocaine is more pure, more potent. More chemically controlled cartels now use industrial-scale labs, GPS-guided submarines, drone scouting crypto payments, encrypted communication, corrupt border officials, chemical recycling to reduce waste. The cocaine business has become a global high-tech enterprise. The unknown side. Cocaine and the environment. Few people know this, but cocaine production creates massive ecological damage. Rainforest destruction, chemical pollution from processing labs, toxic waste dumped into rivers, coca expansion pushing wildlife out of habitats. Pablo Escobar's hippos, the descendants of his private zoo, are now an invasive species in Colombia. Cocaine isn't just a crime issue, it's an environmental crisis. Cocaine myths, conspiracies, and secrets. This segment boosts retention because viewers love mysteries.